to the amendment to the motion for an address in reply to the speech from the throne. I recognize the Honourable the Premier.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it is an honour to rise to bring the debate on the speech from the throne to a close, and to humbly ask this House for its confidence. We have been in this House a while now, debating not one, but two throne speeches. The political intrigue has indeed been fun for the pundits. It has understandably occupied a lot of our thoughts as well. As members, we want to do a good job in the debates that happen in the House, and that's understandable. However, I'd like to begin by gently reminding all of us, myself included, that while we are in this House doing our jobs, thousands of New Brunswickers are also doing their jobs. Somewhere, it is certain that someone is starting up a new business. Still, other business owners are adding up their accounts and hoping they can meet payroll. While we debate here, debates are happening in other rooms. Companies deciding where to put new operations, investors deciding which businesses to support, and rating agencies deciding how much faith and credit to place in the word of our government. And it isn't just the boardrooms that stay busy. The living rooms in homes across New Brunswick are also busy.
It's not just in boardrooms that the people are busy. The people across New Brunswick are also busy in their living rooms.
With all the dreams and the hopes and the worries that parents have when they bring a new life into the world. Still, other families are worried about aging parents, agonizing over getting them the care and dignity and support that our parents deserve. It's a cycle that every family knows well, wanting to ensure that we show our parents the same love and care that they showed us when we needed them most. And somewhere in the middle of those life cycles, there are report cards and college applications and student loan applications being poured over by families. And let's not forget about all the good that citizens do. While we do our jobs here, we know that there are parents providing hot lunch programs and tutoring at schools. There are volunteers showing up at soup kitchens, homeless shelters, and hospital auxiliaries, and Meals on Wheels, making communities better. There are people working as village councillors and education council representatives, giving us ideas and energy and passion for very little reward except a silent belief that their community is worth all the effort. And I appreciate our Minister of Social Development's hard work as well on issues that are most current. Long before she came Minister, the Honourable Member from St. John Lancaster was one of those volunteers. Now as Minister, her responsiveness to issues over the province, especially homelessness, is something I appreciate and respect so very much. I say all of this to let those citizens know that we have them in mind. But I also remind this House of the power of citizenship, because it is important to remember that our communities are shaped by so much more than what government does. Je parle de tout cela.
I'm talking about all that to let the people know that we are thinking about them and want to remember to remind the people that the citizens are important. In their own way, our communities evolve according to, independently often of government activities.
It doesn't always mean government action. Government should come together with citizens, but it will never replace the need for citizens to come together in communities. If I were asked to give the biggest difference this throne speech offers from past approaches, it is in the humility to recognize that government alone cannot solve our challenges. Government can inspire citizenship, but it cannot replace it. As elected officials, we can strive to perfect the management of government, but government alone cannot perfect citizens or communities. That humility, to strive to provide good government, but to recognize that good government empowers citizens, is key to meeting the challenges in this throne speech. La humilité, c'est un...
The reality is that we have to accept good governance, and that good governance will improve the condition of the people. It's important to be able to know will shape the challenges from the throne speech.
Problem. We've been told implicitly that we are a have-not province, where times are tough, but if we trust the right government, then government will protect us. If the economy is bad, government will bail out companies and pave roads and hire more people to shield citizens from a bad economy. If towns and villages have fewer people, choose the right government, and they will protect you from the effects of declining population by protecting government offices and public sector jobs. If compassion and caring is needed, it should be expressed through a new government program or a check. Rarely do we ask a tough, honest question. What if the things politicians do to promise so much are the very things that are creating some of our basic challenges? Vraiment, nous posons-nous les questions difficiles.
Often we have to ask a very legitimate question. And what if the measures taken by politicians what if our promises were what were causing our challenges?
Are shutting down the businesses that could grow our communities. Ici, la perception des taxes, d'impôts et de droits.
And what if fees and taxes are what are causing companies to fall? Imagine what they could be doing for our communities.
One business discourages others from competing. What if funding businesses through politics discourages others from investing here? What if our teachers and our social workers and doctors are the ones with the best judgment on how to deliver government services, but have too many regulations and too much busy work to truly be at their best? Et si notre personnel enseignant?
And what if our teachers, social workers, and our doctors were the best, the people who best know how the services should be delivered, but have their hands bound due to regulations in order to truly excel?
Our reputation on regulation and taxes are making it hard for communities to recruit the businesses that could create jobs and lift people out of poverty. That's why this throne speech is phrased as a series of challenges to everyone. We do not believe that hard times are inevitable and only government can make them better. We believe that with good ideas, honest government, and stronger citizenship, we can create a better life right here in New Brunswick. New Brunswickers may need to be governed well, but they do not seek to be ruled. They expect us to make good policy, but not a perfect world. Les gens de Nouveau-Brunswick.
The people of New Brunswick are perhaps looking for good governance, but they don't want the government to do everything. They want us to build good policies.
This throne speech are there not as things we can give people, but as things we can achieve together. Les 5 défis annoncés.
The 5 challenges in the throne speech are things that aren't being done for the people, but rather goals that we can reach together.
We can get our fiscal house in order. I remember that when I was finance minister, I heard a small idea that a hospital employee offered to save money. This individual noticed that after surgery, boxes of surgical gloves were discarded. After all, they had been opened inside the operating room and could no longer be reused. He decided it would be a simple change to relocate the boxes of gloves outside the operating room, and therefore doctors would use the first pair of gloves or second, but take them into the room with them and not contaminate the other gloves in the box. A simple, common sense solution. Noticing that unused gloves were being discarded didn't get him a promotion or a raise, but he saw something that could be better, and he made a suggestion, and it made a difference. Deficit and debt are not inevitable, but we need an army of people like this hospital employee at all levels of the public service to help get things better. We need to replace complaints with ideas, to replace demands on the system with ideas for a better system. That spirit starts here, and it starts today. We can always raise problems and blame each other, but we can also challenge ourselves to share both power and responsibility by making sure that we offer ideas. Il faut commencer dès maintenant.
We have to start now. That spirit has to start here. We can always raise problems and blame each other, but we can also challenge ourselves to share both power and responsibility. We can also mobilize and share power and responsibility and share ideas.
I believe that we can provide and protect public services. I believe that we can and we should look to treat our public service with the respect and the job security any of us would want. The best way to protect services that are essential is not to spend money on things that aren't. And together we can do that. Le meilleur moyen de protéger les...
The best way to protect services that are essential is to not spend money on things that aren't. And together we can do that.
Re-energize our private sector economy. I am proud of the fact that we have a new minister specifically tasked with being a voice for small business. We need to do more to recognize that taking tasks and starting a business is a form of public service. I am honored to have the job that I do, yet I know every day since I was elected, my salary is paid by taking a portion of money from the profits of others. There's no shame in that. Public service requires public servants. And we need teachers and nurses and scientists and engineers and many others on the public payroll. But if we are to have the money to meet our public payroll, someone must be generating the money to be taxed. We need to do more to honor the work of those who take risks, to honor those who work knowing that their employees get paid first and the owner gets paid last, to honor the people who find a good idea and believe in it so strongly that they work without the security of a regular paycheck or a guaranteed pension. For that reason, it's easy to point to a few who do well and remark that their lives are finally easy. But to build a strong economy, we must encourage the entrepreneurs who take this risk when it is still hard. It is because entrepreneurs live with uncertainty that we can provide public services with confidence. Our policies should show that we understand that. For that reason, we have made it a priority to act on WorkSafe premiums. There have been months of study on this issue. I urge the House to act quickly, and we have, to pass legislation and to provide relief to companies looking to expand and hire more people. Voilà pourquoi nous avons jugé prioritaire.
For that reason, we have made it a priority to act on WorkSafe premiums. There have been months of study of this issue. I urge this House to act quickly to pass legislation and provide relief to companies looking to expand and hire more people.
For the same reason, we need to work to review the corporate bailouts and subsidies. I hope to convince my fellow premiers that we need freer trade and fewer subsidies. Business successes should be decided by the strength of ideas, not the political connections. Attracting business and investment to choose New Brunswick means committing ourselves to a climate that doesn't rush to subsidize one business for political reasons and then hurting all of their competitors in the process. And besides our reputation, there is simple math involved. If we are to generate enough taxes to pay for the public services we need, we cannot be putting private jobs on the public tab. The budget for doctors and nurses shouldn't be used to pay for private sector jobs. The way to stimulate the private economy can't only be public spending. I urge my fellow MLAs to support this throne speech and its call to review corporate welfare. I also urge this House to support the sub-amendment on developing natural resources. This issue has been at the forefront for years now, and I respect and recognize that there are articulate and thoughtful opinions on all sides. The way forward is not for all of us to play to our base and insist on absolute victory. Saying no without evidence is no better or no worse than saying yes without evidence. But establishing ourselves as a jurisdiction that cares about science and evidence is good for our reputation. And the sub-amendment is an honorable place to start. One local jurisdiction wants to develop its resources and create jobs. They are asking to go first, and we should honor the informed choice of a community or First Nation, whether it agrees with us or not. We must recognize the wishes. At the same time, this throne speech strikes a balance. We will limit the lifting of the moratorium to one location. We hear and agree with the call to respect science, and we will see that the project is overseen by independent, well-funded, and transparent officers in science and health. This is true collaboration. Not throwing the opposition a few issues where they get their way and then ignoring them, but generally and honorably reaching a compromise. Il s'agit d'une véritable collaboration.
This is true collaboration. Not throwing the opposition a few issues where they get their way and then ignoring them, but genuinely and honorably reaching a compromise.
But also insist upon going slowly with the proper oversight. This is true collaboration, and I ask for the House support. Il s'agit d'une véritable collaboration. J'invite les parlementaires.
That is true collaboration, and I ask this House to support it.
To the challenges in health, education, and social inclusion. We on this side of the House know that balanced books and a strong private sector are not ends unto themselves. They are the tools that allow us to meet our most fundamental obligations to each other. Government cannot guarantee equality of result, but we can ensure quality of and equal opportunity. That means that we need a government as kind and decent as our citizens, ready to act to ensure that we do not lose the potential of one single citizen to poverty, illiteracy, or prejudice. That's why this throne speech is not just about spending more money. C'est la raison pour laquelle le discours.
That's why this throne speech is not just about more spending.
For teachers, that should be respected, not regulated. Il vise à donner plus de latitude au personnel enseignant.
Teachers should be It is about more freedom for teachers who should be respected, not regulated.
In looking at the success of Finland and other jurisdictions that reduce regulations and red tape and make leaders of teachers who get measurable results. I look forward to seeing what great things our teachers can accomplish. J'ai hâte de constater les grandes réalisations que notre personnel enseignant accomplit.
I look forward to seeing what great things our teachers can accomplish.
Exists in healthcare. For too long, we've accepted spending as a substitute for results. We intend to focus upon results. The most basic test of faith in government is how we respond when it is most urgent. That is why this throne speech identifies wait times and recruitment as a most urgent challenge in healthcare. Having the right professional in front of you when you need them is a test of a good healthcare system. Often the right professional early, a pharmacist with a prescription refill, a mental health professional to intervene early, home care workers who spot trouble early can avoid future costs and problems. That is why wait times and recruitment are a priority. I want to address one additional current issue in healthcare. Je vous borde d'une autre question.
I want to address one additional current issue in healthcare.
That the vast majority of New Brunswick want us to work urgently to a day when we can offer bilingual services everywhere and where all New Brunswickers are at least conversationally bilingual. Je crois vraiment que la vaste majorité des gens de Nouveau-Brunswick.
I truly believe that the vast majority of New Brunswickers want us to work urgently to a day when we can offer bilingual service everywhere and where all New Brunswickers are at least conversationally bilingual.
Require us to work urgently to train and hire enough bilingual paramedics to get the job done. It does require us to do everything we can to improve management so that bilingual paramedics get where they are needed everywhere. And when all sincere best efforts fall short, the Act tells us to save lives and do the best we can. That is what we have achieved, reorganizing non-urgent cases to free up more bilingual paramedics, offer training and recruitment to meet the goal, and have the honesty to have a contingency plan when all sincere efforts fail, so no family has to endure an agonizing wait for an ambulance. Our bilingual province is an advantage and a sacred trust. Dans notre province, le bilingualisme est un...
In our province, bilingualism is an advantage.
To be honest, government has failed to make bilingual training accessible to all. And the result is many professionals where bilingual workers are too few. We need to do better. Nous devons faire mieux.
We must do better.
Being honest about the challenge is not a way of limiting language rights. It is how we work together to preserve those rights in a bilingual New Brunswick for generations to come. En entendant de faire mieux, nous devrons comprendre.
Until we do, being honest about the challenge is not a way of limiting language rights. It is how we work together to preserve those rights in a bilingual New Brunswick for generations to come.
Mr. Speaker, the final of the five challenges is perhaps the most important. I've spoken often of the New Brunswick dream, the chance to do a job you love, in a place you love, coming home to the people you love. Yet every person's dream will differ. Every person has their unique strengths and passion to contribute to a better New Brunswick. We have a fundamental belief that every individual has gifts and potential to share with the world. Protecting that individual freedom to reach our full potential is a responsibility of a government. Nous adhérons à la croyance fondamentale que chaque personne.
We have a fundamental belief that every individual has gifts and potential to share with the world. Protecting that individual freedom to reach our full potential is a responsibility of our government.
Government out of the way so they can innovate, create, and succeed. Pour certaines personnes, cela veut dire que le gouvernement doit.
For some, that means getting government out of the way so they can innovate, create, and succeed.
There are barriers bigger than any one person in their way. A child who goes to school hungry may not learn to read as quickly as he or she could. A child who grows up in a home with violence or neglect does not have an equal start. Too many children still grow up in homes where poverty is a given and where the dignity of work is not available. Where resources are an issue, we must answer the call. Sometimes the answer is not more money, but better policy. We can reform the Family Services Act to provide more tools to help children who are neglected. We can look to the community schools in northern New Brunswick or the poverty reduction initiatives launched by the community in St. John as examples of what can happen when a community rallies around its children. It is also abundantly clear that we need a new model for our relationship with First Nations communities. I am proud of the fact that we have appointed a minister whose sole responsibility is Aboriginal affairs. In the days ahead, we will need the creativity of all members to reset, reimagine our relationship with First Nations, and to provide them with the control over resources and social programs that they deserve. First Nations governments deserve the tools to succeed, and we will work with them. Let this be our guiding social principle, to provide every New Brunswicker willing to work hard with a path to join the middle class. Part of the New Brunswick dream, the first step in achieving that dream, is a chance to have a job that unleashes all of the passion and the potential that we have within us. Government cannot do the work for the citizen, but we can kick down the barriers that stand in their way. From schools that teach every child to read, to communities that keep every citizen safe, I ask all members to contribute to identifying and tearing down those barriers on the road to middle class. I am well aware that this is the final speech in what has been a long process. Through an election and 2 throne speeches, I know that everyone in this House worked hard to get here and has worked hard to deal with this unique situation. Je sais bien qu'il s'agit de dernier.
I am well aware that this is the final speech in what has been a long process. Through an election and 2 throne speeches, I know that everyone in this House worked hard to get here and has worked hard to deal with a novel situation.
At the end of this vote, we will either be into another election or the Cabinet will get to work knowing that finally someone has earned the confidence of the House. Après les votes,
at the end of this vote, we will either be into another election or the Cabinet will get to work knowing that finally someone has earned the confidence of the House.
with that confidence, we know that it is not a blank check, but a precious trust. We expect to be held to account on the challenges laid out in this throne speech. And we know that it is not just the trust of 49 MLAs that we must earn every day. As the throne speech says, the best way to restore faith in government is to get better results from government. Your vote today does not tell us we have met the 5 challenges in this throne speech, but it does give us a chance to do the work. Your vote today does not communicate your blind faith in this Executive Council, but it does extend your hand to say that through the debates and the collaboration and the work to come, we will work to meet these challenges together. The path to a better New Brunswick is not an easy one. La voie vers un meilleur New
The path to a better New Brunswick is not an easy one.
Hard work, sincere disagreements, and creativity across party lines. Cela nécessitera beaucoup de travail.
It will mean hard work, sincere disagreements, and creativity across party lines.
Of debate, and on behalf of my colleagues on this side of the House, I humbly ask for your confidence to start down this path. Thank you. Merci.
Thank you.